Eno Extreme Media UJ. Subscribe for all updates.
Out of shame, Mr. Museveni no longer brings some of his friends' companies to Parliament for funding directly during the budget processing. Being a Myekera rebel, he uses panya shortcuts. He puts the money in the National Development Corporation, which they scavenge on as soon as the budget is passed. He has now lined up.
Honorable, President Museveni is not a rebel. No, let him say it himself, but let it not come out of this house. Let's be fair to each other. Let it not come out of this house.
Yeah, but Madam Speaker,
if somebody says me I'm a rebel, let it be from him, but not coming from us. Let's just have some decorum.
Madam Speaker, I take the president very seriously. When
no,
he says
that statement of rebel should be with it. Don't talk about Ataka Sugar, it is okay. But don't say the president is a rebel.
What I will do, I will go and help him to edit his book, Sowing the Mustard Seed. From then, I will no longer call him a
because when you look a source of your information, you have not said it is from the mustard seed.
Madam Speaker, you are making me do a lot of exercise by sitting and standing.
Actually,
can I answer the questions after I have presented?
But the one of Myekera and rebel should not be included in our report.
Okay, President Museveni is not a Myekera.
He's the president of the Republic of Uganda.
I agree, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker and members, as the Budget Committee on behalf of Parliament was concluding consideration of the budget, the Minister, as usual, walked in with a cool agenda, increasing the budget by 97 billion and also reallocating 862 billion. The money increasing the budget came with no procurement plans, worker plans, annual recruitment plan, etc., as required by the Public Finance Management Act. All votes mentioned in the agenda didn't present revised annual procurement plans, no revised recruitment plans, no revised cash flow projections. This money is susceptible for abuse. We highly suspect that this last-minute movement of money from stationary to travel, from development to recurrent, was deliberately to replace money where it can easily be accessed. The minister claimed they are correcting errors. Why wait and introduce it at the tail end, giving Parliament no chance to scrutinize it? The Public Finance Management Act further states in Section 1211C that annual budget must be accompanied by a statement of budget signed by the Minister and the Secretary to the Treasury, attesting to the reliability and completeness of the information provided under this section and the conformity of the information to the Charter of Fiscal Responsibility. This core agenda, forgive my spelling, that the Honorable Musasizi Henry Ariganyira trafficked about 48 hours ago goes against this text and spirit of this section. The table on page 2 summarizes the changes that that the core agenda is proposing. Other than the core agenda, we also oppose to the passing of the budget in its current form. The revenue and expenditures proposed don't conform to the aspirations of our people as contained in the National Development Plan. Huge sums of money are allocated to luxury and also given to friends of President Museveni, as has been the practice for many years. Money gifted to the likes of Pineti should be reallocated to education, agriculture, health, and roads, and we will be demonstrating later. This is Museveni's 41 budget he is presenting to the country after 41 years in power. Article 115 of the Constitution states that the President shall cause to be prepared and laid before Parliament in each financial year, but in any case, not later than the 15th day before commencement of the financial year estimates all revenues and expenditure of government for the next financial year. This article is reproduced in Section 12 of the Public Finance Management Act. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, as I said, this is a budget number 41. President Yoweri Museveni Tibuhaburwa Kaguta has caused to be prepared. You can see, I don't know why Parliament has a habit of distorting photos, but the first one is how he looks like when he was presenting the first budget. Then the middle, after about 20 years in power. And the last one is when he's presenting the budget number 41. The 2026-27 84 is now 0.3 trillion national budget. The NRM government has proposed for next financial year 84.391 total annual budget. And I summarize it here. The first table on the left is where the money will come from. And then the table on the right is what the money will do. You can see the table on the right, debt servicing is going to consume 40% of the budget. Wages and salaries will consume about 14 trillion. And then you have the staff expenses about 8 trillion. Classified expenditure 2.6. What remains is just 25. Allocated to debt servicing, as I have said in the table, is 33.6 trillion, which is 40% of the budget. The proposed salary increment of about 1.2 trillion to various servants, public servants, including teachers and other entitlements. We raise country's wage bill from 8.5 trillion to about 9.7. The wage bill and other allowances have hit 14.1 trillion, representing 16.7% of total budget. Public servants are just about 400,000, but in this budget they have 14 trillion to themselves. There are also other direct expenses by public servants, such as vehicle fuel, special meals, and newspapers, which will cost another 8.2 trillion, representing 9.7% of the total budget. There is classified expenditure of 2.6 trillion, which is 3.1% of the budget. These four items alone are consuming 70% of the entire budget. What remains for you to debate, honorable members, is just 25 trillion, which is 30% of the budget. I therefore want Parliament to note that you are presented with a highly constrained budget that needs a real surgery if it is to make meaning to the population. I now want to break down these items that are consuming 40% of the budget. So if you look, the first table represents debts that we will pay. And in these debts now I am showing you whose debts we are paying. First, we are paying Congo. The NRM leaders are not only accused of stealing from their people, they are also accused of stealing from neighbors. One such a neighbor that has fallen victim to the NRM leaders' stealing habits is the Democratic Republic of Congo. During the 1997-98 invasion of Congo, senior NRM leaders helped themselves with Congolese women, timber, gold, and other minerals. They were also accused of recruiting and deploying Congolese children as soldiers. Congo took Uganda to the International Court of Justice, and since judges there are not cadres, Uganda lost the case, and after a lot of pleading, we were ordered to pay for our crimes. We have since 2021 been emitting billions annually. Paying Congo is part of Uganda's public debt servicing. The NRM government has included in this budget that you are passing 260.4 billion, which will be paid to DR Congo.
Honorable Ssemuju, would you touch if you say the government, rather than specifying NRM government?
Madam Speaker, you didn't ask the
Just
Honorable
government.
You also didn't ask the main report because they are saying they're implementing NRM manifesto. For them, you're not stopping them. So why does it become a problem?
I never heard them
referring
talk
to
about it. I never
It is
heard
in the
them
report,
talk
main
about it.
report on all pages. They are referring to NRM manifesto, NRM what?
Madam Speaker, the document the colleague is presenting here is going to remain on the Hansard of this Parliament for posterity. For him to begin to assume and allege and insinuate that it is the NRM government which entered to plumber Congo is one thing, Madam Speaker, we beg for your indulgence. The NRM political party as an organization has its own secretariat. The NRM government, which we want to confirm.
But by the way, NRM did not go and steal from Congo.
That is what I'm coming to that. So I would actually want to go on a point of order. Why am I on a point of order? Is it in order for Honorable Ssemuju to insinuate as if it is the NRM which entered Congo as NRM and plundered Congo as is alleging? Because, Madam Speaker, I am here to ask us to go on record and state facts. And also, Madam Speaker, I've been listening to the words of the Minority Report. The language being used, it's unparliamentary, with due respect. And now I wish some of the content in this report is expanded, because it is entirely unparliamentary for us to continue allowing a colleague to read such a report. I have just passed through here, and you're going to continue seeing the content which he has put in there. Madam Speaker, is Honorable Ssemuju in order to continue insinuating as if it is the NRM government which entered and plundered the Congo, as is alleging. Is he in order?
Honorable members, if there was a theft, which you're saying it was there, it must have been by individuals. It's not by NRM government. And when you talk about the age, from the time, age is golden. Actually, you should even pray that you also become that old. It is just fair for you to say government is paying this money for the acts of other people.
Madam Speaker.
Because now,
Madam Speaker, I have not said the NRM government. I have actually said NRM leaders. You only needed to be careful. I didn't say NRM government. And if you are careful, I am going to tell you those NRM leaders in the subsequent paragraphs.
yes, please.
But here, this is abuse of our rules. I am presenting a report. The NRM government has included 260.4 billion in the coming financial year budget, which will be paid to DR Congo. The 260.4 billion is the last of the 5 installments. The last installment will bring the final figure to shilling 1.2 trillion. Can you imagine? Those who enjoyed Congolese women and gold are known and are there, but we are all being ordered to pay. And the Honorable Gwanga is not one of them. This money should have been paid by government officials.
So you say they are paying because they enjoy.
But you wanted names. I'm going to give you names.
You order, please, the word enjoying women, is that parliamentary? Let's be realistic. What do you mean? And even you're here saying, hey, is it parliamentary for you colleagues?
Honorable.
No, please, let's be realistic.
Honorable Ssemuju.
Yes.
Is this money paid because they enjoyed the women or what?
You see,
and you have to pay for enjoyment.
You see, Madam Speaker, the trouble is that when budget is brought here, it is brought together with 21 documents. I think the Honorable Gwanga is listening to the budget for the first time. And I want to ask him to first listen, because you will not be quarreling for every paragraph that I read. The money should have been paid by senior government officials named in the plundering of Congo, such as Lieutenant General Severino Otafire, and General Karebu Akandonao. General Museveni said for him the only thing he took from Congo during the period of the war was a stick. Museveni's friend Penet given another 350 billion. In next year's budget, I am explaining money they are going to spend on servicing the debt, which is 40% of our budget. In next year's budget, there is shilling 305 billion for President Museveni's dear friend Enrica Maria Aristidina Penetti. Again, for our controversial war specialized hospital project. This money is part of the 33 trillion public debt service obligation. On the list of the debt, it is listed as others. That's what the Honorable Musasizi has done. He has listed it as others. We have so far given Aristidina 916 billion, which is equivalent of 247 million US dollar. Now Pineti wants another 489 billion to complete the route. This will bring total amount spent on Pineti's project to 1.4 trillion. Remember, at the beginning of this project, Museveni handlers, including Honorable David Bahati, told Parliament that Uganda was spending about 200 billion on medical care abroad, and that an investor, Aristidina, was going to help us construct a super health facility in 48 months, which she will manage for 8 years and hand it over to Uganda. Uganda then would pay her using money budgeted for medical care abroad. That was the Pineti story. Nobody, I think, knew that Pineti debt obligation would become part of public debt. Uganda is borrowing money at high interest rate and passing it over to Pineti Aregedi to construct a hospital for us. Mind you, Pineti is not a contractor, she is not a medical person, but rather a dealer in furniture. Her Roboa project represents the highest level of abuse of public trust. This Parliament demanded for a value for money audit before more money is sunk in. But as usual, this was abandoned, and Pineti is smiling all the way to the bank. And in this budget, they have also allocated the Ministry of Works 21.54 billion to construct roads around Ruoa Hospital, which has become a monument of corruption under Museveni. I now go to Rocco on page 7.
I don't know, Ssemuju, before you go to Rocco, have you ever gone to, have you gone to Entebbe Airport through the main road? Around Luboa? No, I'm just...
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Haven't you seen that hospital there?
I have seen a structure coming up, not worth 1.4 trillion.
Okay, the structure is there, the hospital is there. Yes, next.
Page 7, Rocco. The NRM government has included in next financial year's budget 32.2 billion to help Rocco Construction Company meet its debt obligation. Rocco debt problems are now also part of Uganda's public debt servicing, courtesy of Mzee Museveni. Remember, in 2022, I don't have to read each and everything on this page, when these problems of Rocco came here. So in the end, we are going to be giving these proprietors of Rocco 207 billion. I now go to Ntungamo Coffee, which has taken 254 billion so far. Page 8. During financial year 20, and I can actually summarize with a table on page 9. So far, we have invested 188.6 billion in this company, and the proprietor to Gume was seen recently in cabinet demanding for more. I go to Kira Motors.
Which cabinet? So you mean you have spies in cabinet?
But isn't cabinet part of organs of the state?
You belong to the state. I'm happy today you appreciate you belong to the
Uganda,
state.
we are part of the Ugandan state.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, Kira Motors, in the budget there is 200 billion that has been added to the Ministry of Science and Technology to, among others, fund the operations of Kira Motors. You have heard in the main report. enterprises are supposed to bring their budgets here and we approve them. Chiramoto has not brought, but they are giving it money. More money. And the table summarizes so far what we have put in Kiramotos to produce those buses. I go to UDC on page 10. UDC, the NRM government has included next financial year's budget 304 billion for Uganda Development Corporation. Out of shame, Mr. Museveni no longer brings some of his friends' companies to Parliament for funding directly during the budget processing. Being a Muyekera rebel, he uses panya shortcuts. He puts the money in the National Development Corporation, which they scavenge on as soon as the budget is passed. He has now lined up.
Honorable, President Museveni is not a rebel. No, let him say it himself, but let it not come out of this house. Let's be fair to each other. Let it not come out of this house.
Yeah, but Madam Speaker,
if somebody says me I'm a rebel, that is, let it be from him, but not coming from us. Let's just have some decorum.
Madam Speaker, I take the president very seriously. When
No,
he says
that statement of rebel should be with it on. Talk about Atiaka Sugar, it is okay. But don't say the president is a rebel.
what I will do, I will go and help him to edit his book, Sowing the Mustard Seed. From then I will no longer call him a
because when you look a source of your information, you have not said it is from the mustard seed.
Madam Speaker, you are making me do a lot of exercise by sitting and standing.
Actually,
can I answer the questions after I have presented?
But the one of Muyekera and Rebo should not be included in our report.
Okay. President Museveni is not a Muyekera.
He's the president of the Republic of Uganda.
Yeah. I agree, Madam Speaker. He has now lined up 304 billion for UDC and Atiaka Sugar Factory. The main client of UDC will be one of the beneficiaries. In fact, Atiaka has been allocated 100 billion. We have so far invested 668 billion in this controversial Atiaka Sugar Factory, mainly through UDC. The 100 billion new allocation will bring total investment in this company to 768 billion. The proprietor, Amina, has invested 125 billion, but she has 60% shares in the company. And Uganda, that has invested more than 600, has 40 shares. The Auditor General in his latest report, December 2025, says in the last 10 years, government has through UDC invested 1.3 trillion in 22 companies. 8 of these companies are recording net losses. Another 8 companies that UDC loaned 223 billion, 238 billion, have not paid the principal nor the interest. UDC is expected to operate with a degree of independence, but it is being financed through project-specific funding. Government releases funds to UDC that are already earmarked for specific projects such as Atiaka Sugar, leaving UDC with no space to conduct proper investment appraisal according to Auditor General. The return on investment in UDC is 0.09% according to AG report. The table on page 11 up, just a summary of what we have put in Atiak, and then I go to presidential initiative on banana. They want 70 billion. The presidential initiative on banana is one of other controversial investments of our dear leader. It is headed by Professor Moranga. They want 70 billion for their operations next financial year. The presidential initiative on banana industrial development has become a bottomless pit, and I show the money that has gone there so far in this budget. They want 70 billion. I now go to page 12. I'll leave the table summarizing banana initiative. There is also day. We would like to inform Parliament that day by farmer proprietor Dr. Matthias Magora has requested for another bailout worth 1.5 trillion. He was seen in an interview attending a cabinet meeting that discussed the budget. Like Tugume, he has been asked to wait until an assessment on his controversial factory is done. And I want to thank Finance for this. Don't again be surprised when this request surfaces at some stage during budget implementation through supplementary. These fellows are now attending cabinet meetings. The ministers are here, let them deny. On 17th April 2024, the Minister of Finance and Planning and Economic Development presented the supplementary, and I want to leave this just giving you how much money so far they has taken. He now wants 1.5 trillion. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, I am now going to the cost of borrowing, because I have told you some of the beneficiaries of the 33 trillion in this budget that we are going to appropriate. So you've heard the names of the beneficiaries. They are waiting for you here. On Monday they will be in the banks. Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we need to be very careful when allowing government to borrow huge sums of money to finance the budget. It has huge implications to the health of our economy. One of those implications is interest payment. Interest payment has now hit 46 trillion. Because of reckless borrowing, we have paid 21.6 trillion in interest on money, mainly borrowed from commercial banks and pension funds in the last 4 years. This financial year, 2025-2026, we are paying 11.4 trillion in interest, and we have budgeted in this budget 13.8 trillion for next financial year. This will bring total interest payment to 46.9 trillion in 6 years. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, our people are working for commercial banks that are foreign owned. And below you will see these banks, because what we call domestic, it is these fellows just trafficking money. Kindly go back to because this table up here, it gives you the interest that we have paid over this period. And if you aggregate this interest, it equals a full budget of a full financial year. So in 4 years, in 5 years of our term, this particular parliament, we have had only 4 budgets. The 5th budget is for paying interest.
Abalungi abatuuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tuchaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo sanyusa okubalaba amannya agange Seeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde musomereddwa tumuwa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba, tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulomba edduwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombera edduwa, ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amannya ge naye ng'ali wala. Naneetaase enamba yange yeno eri 0707763711. Namwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku dduwa ng'olina ebizibu, viza zibuze, amaka gakolongotana, sente zikola zimpita mu ngalo, ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go, ebyo byokka bijja kummala. Nja kukulombera edduwa, ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa eyawamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Salaamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.